So one of the biggest things us kids and everything, and my kids, I mean, are always saying, we should have taken pictures of this. We should have taken pictures of that. Nobody knew, like when we did the pool house over to Don's parents, what it was like, Oh, we should have taken pictures. Well, when we do this camp in Maine, and I'm going to explain that in a minute, I want to document everything because I'm getting older. The kids are getting older, and the way this all started out was ice fishing, believe it or not. I went to go ice fishing, and we were headed up to Vermont with Devin and Alicia, a couple friends of ours, to go ice fishing. And I had an old Polaris four-wheeler, and I had been thinking about getting a four-wheeler for quite a few years. But they're expensive now. They're, $10, $12, $15,000 to get a decent four-wheeler. So I pulled my old Polaris out that I'd had for years. I only paid $800 for it, and went to put it on the trailer. And that thing started pulling to the left hard. I'm like, oh shit, the fucking bearings are all shot. So we ended up going up to fishing anyways. And got up in the morning to go out there fishing, and it's a long walk. It's not like in Massachusetts where you walk a little ways and you're fishing. I mean, we walked half a mile out to where we had to go. It was early in the morning. It was like maybe 6:15, 6:30ish. Cold. It was only like 20 degrees, and pulling our sleds along. It was real easy to go. Wasn't hard. Nice pulling. My wife had a sled behind her. I had behind me because we had the shelter and all that shit. Well, we fished for the day, and around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, it was getting warm. It was 30, 35 degrees out there. Beautiful. Still 2.5 feet of ice. No problems there. Well, around 2 o'clock, we had enough. Decided we were going to leave. Well, let me tell you something. There was 2 inches of slush on top of that ice. And it sucked. I was pulling the heavy sled. Dawn had a light sled. And it absolutely sucked pulling that sled off that ice. We got to the edge of that ice, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she says, we can't keep fucking doing that. So we took a little ride, and we rode around, and I found a Polaris Ranger I was thinking about buying. And, those are expensive, too. The Polaris Rangers is real expensive. So I went back to the house, to the motel, excuse me, and I texted my brother Steve, and I says, hey, look, I says, thinking of buying this. It'd be great for ice fishing. And he sent me back a text, and he said, well, you better buy something. And he had a picture of, he bought a CF Moto 600. Brand spanking new. They were offering a good deal on them. It was only like $100 a month. So I came home, and I ended up buying a brand new CF Moto 800. Love the machine. Zero complaints about the machine. Love it. Well, a couple weeks later, I went down and bought my wife a CF Moto 600. I have an 800 now. She has a 600. So this summer, we ended up doing a lot of riding in Maine. Then my daughter Sarah bought a 600. My daughter Ruby bought a 600. And my daughter Erica bought a 600. Not necessarily in that order. So now we all had four-wheelers. Well, Devin and Alicia, they both went out and they bought a four-wheeler. So now we have a whole slew of four-wheelers at my property. They're everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's a four-wheeler. Kids are having fun. We went on a whole bunch of rides. Dawn and I ended up riding this summer almost 1,600 miles on our four-wheelers. 1,600 miles. That's a long ways. But let me tell you something. I've ridden snowmobiles for years and years and years and years. Me and my daughters and my son, my son did a lot of riding. I still have my son's old sled. It's down, you look, it's that yellow Renegade right there over my ear. Still have it, still gonna ride around, but four-wheeling's awesome. Up there riding around everywhere. You can just ride into the restaurants, ride into gas stations, wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do. It's awesome. So Don and I said, we'd like to have a place. We've always talked about having a place where there wasn't a lot of people around, but we had electricity. And I can build anything. Steel to anything. I'm pretty decent at that. I wouldn't say I'm perfect, but I'm pretty decent. And with the help of my wife, who none of this would be possible without Dawn, and these kids will watch us. They all know. Dawn's the rock of the family. I'm kind of like the lightning bolt of the family. She's the rock of the family. But none of this would be possible without her. And of course, without my children, without my kids behind me, backing me, and wanting to do things, I would probably wouldn't be doing this if the kids didn't want to do all this stuff, because we are definitely a family. And when they watch us, they'll understand this is a family. So this is where we've progressed to. Dawn and I bought 4.5 acres, finally, up in Lincoln, Maine. We went up 4 or 5 times and we scouted everywhere, looking for land, looking for land, looking for land. We couldn't. They put advertisements on the internet saying, "Come look at this land. It's awesome. This land is great. You're gonna absolutely love this land." You get up there and it was a shithole, absolute shithole. You know, it had 50 feet. And then it'd drop off, or it'd be swamp, or it was terrible, terrible. And I've always had the gift for gab. You all understand what I'm saying. I always had the gift of gab. I could always talk to people. I'm a good salesman. I could sell stuff, and I've always been honest with people. So we had been riding, and we stopped for to eat. I don't remember lunch, breakfast, what the hell it was. And we had just looked at a piece of land. It was $25,000 for 1 acre, but it was right on the four-wheeler trail. And I wanted to find out if it was on the ATV trail or not. I mean, excuse me, the snowmobile trail. So if the kids wanted to go up snowmobiling, they could. And I was asking the lady in the store, it's a store restaurant type thing, if it was on the snowmobile trail. She didn't know, but there was a guy standing there. You gotta love Maine. He's got 45 on his hip, which I love. And he says, "You're looking for some land?" And I told him all what I just told you. And he goes, "Well, Jesus, you should go see this guy. He's a real nice guy. He can probably hook you up." He says, "I bought 5 acres for less money than what you're paying for that." And I told him, I said, "But I want power." And he said, yeah, he can help you up. So that day, we went and looked at a piece. It was a beautiful piece. Wasn't on the four-wheeler trail. I had to go up the main road up there, which kind of sucks. So I said, "Hey, this guy's office is right up the road." I says, "Let's go see if they're working." So I went up to the office. They gave me the guy's number. We met him. I went and looked at the land, and I loved it. It was power, 4.5 acres. There's a small pond in the back where the stream runs through on the downside, so it's not like running through the property. It's flat. It's on a piece that's 4,700 acres, and they can't sell any land off that for 5 years, and I get first refusal. So Don and I did all the paperwork, and who'd have thunk it? They finance the property. You got to give them 20% down. They finance the property. So yesterday, which was December 29th, day before yesterday, excuse me. Today is New Year's Eve. I finalized the papers and sent in the down payment on the property. So now all I'm waiting for is a title. But as law states, I've signed the papers with the notary public, and I now own, with my wife and my children, in Lincoln, Maine, on Half Township Road. I own property, which is awesome. So I decided that if we're going to go up there and we're going to own property, that we need to build something. So I'm not going to go up there and sit in the bugs and sit in this shit. You know, mosquitoes in Maine have fucking numbers and lights on them. They're so goddamn big. And I wasn't putting up with that shit. So what I ended up doing is I said, "Listen, I'm going to buy one of them Alaskan sawmills and try it. See how it works. It's $250. Shit." I said, "My wife can blow $250 at the grocery store in a snap of the fingers." I said, "So let's buy one of those." So I bought one. I tried it. I really like it. It's a nice little unit. You know what I'm saying? Downfall to it, it's really slow. You have to set up a ladder or some kind of racking system on the top of your log and do the racks. And then after you do those racks, you are kind of like can take the rack off, then you kind of slab everything out and you can edge it. What I found was on my 1-inch boards, I just slabbed off 1-inch boards and I edged them with a skill saw. Went really quick, wasn't bad. So I did quite a bit of lumber with that little Alaskan sawmill. I don't know if you can see this behind me here, but I mean, that's a pile there that I did a lot with the Alaskan sawmill. And then I probably did, and that's this whole four-wheel. My brother fixes four-wheels and stuff. That pile, that's all 2x6s and stuff like that. The reason why I decided to do that was because I went to Home Depot for my company that I work for, and I picked up some lumber. And for a 2x6 by 12-foot long kiln dried stud, it was $17. $17. The last time I bought some was quite a few, probably 2 years ago. They were $8. They went up over 100% in 2 years. And this is the first year of a new presidential administration. You can figure it out for yourself what you think, but form your own opinion. So that's what made me decide to buy the Alaskan sawmill. A little slow. So then I decided to buy what's called a logo saw, which is what you see right behind me here. I'm not going to uncover it. I got some pictures. Maybe I'll stuff them into something like that. But it kind of works. The log sits with that. Right there is where that timber is. And it lifts it up. Click, 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 quarter inch at a time. Then the chainsaw sets on this bed. And it slides down. And it cuts the log like that. Cuts the log off. Goes a lot quicker. What it does do is it creates a ton of sawdust. I mean, buckets of sawdust. And for every 4 boards that you cut off, you lose a board because of the width of the saw. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about that. That's just the way it is. I knew that when I bought it. I knew it was going to create sawdust, but I really wasn't sure about how much sawdust. Let me tell you something. In 2 logs, the amount of sawdust it created, if you can see behind me, this is right in front of my shed right here. Nice little shed. That sawdust right behind me there would be from the edge of that shed to the edge of that logo saw, which is about 7 feet. The whole length, it would be almost 1.5 feet thick in the middle, the whole length. An average on my little Kubota up there, it's only got a little like 1/8 bucket. 4 or 5 buckets. That's for 2 logs. But it was about twice as fast as our Alaskan mill. And I thought, yeah, this is good. I said the lumber that comes off was not as accurate as the Alaskan mill, but it was good enough for rough cut lumber that you're going to buy. I said, well, I want to speed this up a little bit. So I was looking and looking and looking and looking on the internet. And it was Christmas Day. And my daughter was over with Hector, who's hopefully someday my son-in-law, but they're still young. So yes, I'm uncovering it right now. I said to him, I says, I've been looking for a band mill. I says, look, Jesus, I says, everybody's bit because of this stupid COVID. Everybody's backed up for months. Wood miser out of Maine it's backed up. Right now, it's 2020, it's New Year's Eve, 2021, and they're backed up for a year and a half. 2023 is when you can expect a mill. Hector goes, oh, look, that kid's been buying stuff on Facebook Marketplace forever. He says, hey, Jerry, I just sent you a link. Well, this is what he sent me a link to. I don't know if you can see it. It's older. There's no doubt it's older. But Don and I bought this. This is a Norwood mill. It's a 1997. It's pretty much the same design. There's a few different features that the new ones have, but it's pretty much the same design as everything else. But what I liked about this one is if you look, this one was built on a homemade, but not farmer homemade. This is like metal fabrication, channel steel, homemade trailer. It's not super heavy. The whole system only weighs probably 1,500 pounds, if that. And out of the 1,500 pounds, probably 600 is that carriage. It tows like a breeze behind my trailer. I bought it up in Maine, New Hampshire from a guy who's actually a bear hunting guide up in Maine. Really good kid. And I got it for a decent price, not a rock bottom price. 2 years ago, it'd probably been $1,000 cheaper, $1,500 cheaper, but you have to roll with the times. You got to understand that. So last night was its maiden voyage, and I'll tell you, it cuts great lumber, nice and straight. I mean, a better tolerance of lumber than I've gotten with anything else here. And like I told you, the logo saw is way faster than the Alaskan mill. This bandsaw mill is twofold more. It used to take, I could do probably 3 to 4 logs in 6 hours on that logo saw. I put the same size log on this mill last night, and it's the first time I've ever run a mill. Has no, I didn't even put the gauge on it. I just used a tape measure to measure lengths. And I did a log in like 35 to 40 minutes. Now, some of you are going to think, well, that ain't very good. Well, let me tell you something. The lumber prices right now, in 35 to 40 minutes, I made over $125 worth of lumber. I don't know where you're from, but if I would have bought that log, it would only cost me like $8 to $10 if I bought it from somebody. I happen to have, we have the land here. I cut the trees down there. So I made about $90 an hour running this mill. So I don't think that's too bad of a return on my investment. So I don't know about you. So that's the beginning. We're going to come out here today, and we're going to cut up some lumber. I've already got a bunch cut up. I got some timbers cut up because, like I said, we're going to have a screen room up there, and the bathroom and all that stuff. So when friends come up, they don't have tracking out of my camper. See, I did those right there. I did one with the Alaskan mill and one with the logo saw mill. And that beam probably took me an hour, hour and a half to make by the time I finally got down to it. But we're going to get going today, and we're going to see what we can do. And I got a pile of lumber, that little blue top right there over the nose of the Kubota is probably 500, 600, 700 feet of nice white pine that I just cut last weekend in the pouring rain. And this lumber right here, I still got 2 boards of edge, but you can see those 2x6s, and I'm cutting those 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches, so they match the stuff that you buy at the store. So if I get up to the camp, there's a lumber store right up the street, you know, 6, 7 miles away. So if I get up there, I can match up the boards, and I don't have to run anywhere to do it. I know this video is long, but when you grandkids or whatever, if I ever get any grandkids or nephews or nieces down the road, go to watch this, you'll understand when you sit in this cabin up here, because eventually you're going to be sitting in this cabin up in Maine, where it started. It just didn't appear. My wife Dawn and I worked our asses off. Nobody's ever handed me a fucking thing. Nothing. I've worked for everything. People have helped me. I will never say people haven't helped me. Don't you ever say people have never helped you. People have helped me along the way. My brothers, mostly my brother Steve, has helped me infinitely. My brother Steve has been by my side, and his 2 boys, Isaac and Lucas, and my nephew Cody's helped me a lot, and of course my kids. I mean, Kevin, Sarah, Erica, and Ruby have helped me whenever I needed help. And but most of all, my wife Dawn. If none of this would be possible without that woman. None. And as you sit your ass in the chairs, you remember that. None of this would be possible without that woman. I bitch and I complain and I moan, but none of it would be here without her. And of course me, I busted my ass, and I hate to say it, but I was the brains of this outfit, which ain't much, because there ain't much brains up there, but that's where we're going. So when you sit down and eat your meal, and you sit in the fireplace, and you watch it go, oh, this place is pretty cool, and everything, you go over to your camp or whatever. That's how this came about. As a start, and there's going to be snippets of videos and pictures along with this as I go along. It's probably going to be an hour-long video by the time we're done, because I'm already at 19 minutes, but I wanted a good start. I wanted you to realize, and everybody that comes up to our camp is going to watch this video before they come up, so they understand and they know, you know, what they're getting into. When they come in, it's not like a public campground, you know. Anybody that helps is going to be able to use this, but they're going to watch this video so they know what went into it. and they could understand. And you know something, when people watch something like this and they hear it and they realize it's unedited and there might be a mistake here or there, they got more damn respect. And if they don't have respect, they can go somewhere else. Like I've said, and if you're not going to help, you're not going to be respectful, you want to ride, you can come up and ride with us. The motel's right down the street, and that's where you can stay. And we're leaving here at 8 o'clock in the morning to ride. And if you want to meet us out front, you're more than welcome to meet us out front, if that's the type of person you can be. Otherwise, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Come up when I'm not there. Just let me know you're going up. All right. Well, that's the end of this one. And maybe I'll take some snippets of us sawing some wood, and we'll mix that in. All right. But until then, look at my I got a little remote selfie stick. Kids gonna love this. Hey, hopefully we'll see you in Maine.